Welcome to Indisputable. I'm Sharon Reed, in for Dr. Richie today. The one and only Francesca Fiorentini is here. I just love it when you're on because you know I adore you. But it's also, I get to say, bituation room.
That's right. That's the
There's just something about
podcast.
it. Right. I just love it. And people love it and they love you. And so we're honored to have you back once again. It's a festive sweater, too. It looks like you could just go on the slopes and go skiing.
Yeah.
Ski. Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I do, but like poorly, and I'm mostly afraid the whole time. But I will say, if you thank you, I want to plug the Bituation Room. We're going to be live in San Francisco for Sketchfest. This is January 28th. That's a Sunday, 7 p.m. Emma Vigeland of The Majority Report, Miles Gray of The Daily Zeitgeist, Nato Green, comedian. So if you want to see me live,
hitters.
Bay Area, come through. It's going to be good. I'm excited to see folks there.
I wish I could fly out there. I have to bring a 12-year-old. Would the content be suitable for a 12-year-old? Okay, because she will not. Oh, well, we won't tell her that though. Okay,
I think
Let's just keep that between us.
I'd be like, no.
Speaking of no, somebody who was not used to hearing it, right? He's long gone, and some people are still celebrating that. But there's an update because it's like the legacy lives on, painful as it is. Names revealed so far in Jeffrey Epstein's list. That list, the names of 90 former associates, employees, friends, victims of Jeffrey Epstein, became public on Wednesday after being unsealed. Unsurprisingly, those names included Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and one of the spares, Prince Andrew. He's on the list too, okay? I guess he felt like he could do whatever he wanted to do because he's not going to ascend to the throne. Oh yeah, his brother did too. Epstein on Clinton and Trump. Jeffrey Epstein had information on Donald Trump and the Clintons so incendiary, he could have upended the 2016 presidential election if made public. According to the dead financier's younger brother, here's a direct quote. If I said what I know about both candidates, they'd have to cancel the election. That's what Jeffrey told me in 2016. Mark Epstein told the Post Wednesday, recalling a conversation he had with his brother about the showdown between Trump and Hillary Clinton. New York Post with the salacious details. Wonder what the headline looked like on the paper today, the front cover. Jeffrey Epstein told one of his sexual abuse victims, Bill Clinton, his girls young. That's according to newly unsealed court documents. The bombshell claim is from a deposition given by Joanna Schoberg. Deposition transcript obtained by TMZ says Jeffrey told her Clinton likes them young, referring to girls. Clinton reportedly did not object to his identity being unsealed, and he's long been linked to Epstein. 2019, Bill said he went on 4 trips on Epstein's infamous private jet as part of a humanitarian effort with the Clinton Foundation. But he denied knowledge about Epstein's crimes. Again, TMZ flushing out further details. There were other notable names that appeared on the list as well. First release list includes high-profile names such as Leonardo DiCaprio, Naomi Campbell, Cate Blanchett, Cameron Diaz, David Copperfield, Al Gore, Stephen Hawking. Yeah, that's on there. I'm going to have you weigh in. Kevin Spacey, Bruce Willis, Bill Gates. Name has not been confirmed to be on the list. Bill Gates' name has not been confirmed to be on the list. Not yet. Newsweek has the details. When you look at that list, though, Al Gore? For people who like to party and do certain things, I don't know what Al Gore does, but it's interesting and doesn't mean that something nefarious went down. It's just the association with a very morally bankrupt man.
Yeah, a sex trafficker.
A sex trafficker. Thank you. Okay. The words had escaped me. A sex trafficker. Let me tell you this, Fran. Bill Gates' name is being floated as one of the handful of redacted names released in connection with the late convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein, sex trafficker. 4 of the 90 names remain redacted, however, causing speculation as to who those people are. Gates, 68, the billionaire co-founder of Microsoft, has been theorized to be one of the redacted names based on his past admissions, in addition to comments made by his ex-wife, Melinda French. Lawyer Alan Dershowitz was also named. One such powerful individual that Epstein forced then minor Jane Doe, number 3, to have sexual relations with was former Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz. Close friend of Epstein's well-known criminal defense attorney, Epstein required Jane Doe 3 to have sexual relations with Dershowitz on numerous occasions while she was a minor, not only in Florida, but also on private planes in New York, New Mexico, U.S. Virgin Islands. Forbes with more accounting here. There's more details on others' names. Schoberg testified to meeting American magician David Copperfield at one of Epstein's houses. She added that she observed him to a friend of Epstein's, to be a friend. Copperfield and Epstein were friends. She also recalled a girl at the dinner who she thought looked like she was of high school age. Schoberg and Copperfield, she said, he asked her if she knew that girls were getting paid to find other girls, referring to the recruitment of women by Epstein and Maxwell as massage therapists. It's so tragic, the details. I mean, we've known them for some time, but just hearing them again is so tragic. Michael Jackson. I met Michael Jackson at Jeffrey's house in Palm Beach. Question, did you massage him? Answer, I did not. Al Jazeera with that quote. Stephen Hawking. Hawking's name was mentioned in an email sent by Epstein to Maxwell in January 2015. In this email, Epstein told Maxwell to, quote, issue a reward to any of Jeffrey's friends, family, and acquaintances to come forward and disprove the allegations, including against Hawking. The strongest is the Clinton dinner and the new version in the Virgin Islands that Stephen Hawking participated in an underage orgy, the email said. Look, there's so much more here, Francesca. I don't know if, Bill Gates' name is rumored to be on the list. And I theorize, I don't know, that if it's not currently, it's because they were given the opportunity to fight at certain people. Certain people did. Certain people like Bill Clinton said, I don't mind it. And maybe that's a thing that their attorneys are saying, don't fight it. It'll make you look guilty. I don't know. But what did you hear? Did you learn more?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is really important to understand what this list means. It means that politicians and celebrities and financiers and people, lawyers, professors, people with a lot of power and money were rubbing elbows, doing financial deals, and in some cases, although not all, going to the homes of and participating in coerced sexual acts with a sex trafficker. Yes, he was a powerful and wealthy sex trafficker, but he was a sex trafficker nonetheless. And so it is important to distinguish who was just sort of seeking financial advice, who was friends, and who, like Alan Dershowitz, who is still on news outlets defending his innocence, has actual allegations at him that he, on multiple occasions, engaged with sex with someone who was not only underage, but potentially being held against their will. And so,
wasn't he threatening people too? I'll sue. I'm going to file the case tomorrow. And team, correct me if that's incorrect information, because I don't, anybody can be a target at any time. But yeah, he's not backing down.
Yeah, no, and it seems. It's just so ridiculous and it's so gross. And of course, again, he likes them young. We've heard that said. Trump said it about Epstein, right? Now we're hearing it said about Clinton. Leonardo DiCaprio dates younger women. But let's just distinguish. If these people were involved, there's another rumor that Bill Gates, not a rumor, in fact, he did have a relationship with a former employee. I believe he had a relationship with a Russian bridge player or bridge champion who was very young. There is a fine line, and there is something sick and important to understand about powerful men who are older, who regularly have relationships. Some of them are consensual. Understand there are consensual relationships you can have with young women, but a lot of them are not. And what is it about powerful men that they need to exert their power even over the partners who they are intimate with, right? This is about fragile egomaniacs who have no way of, I guess, keeping a relationship or being in a stable relationship with a woman of their own age or someone their own age. And so they prey upon younger people and younger women explicitly, again, either coerced, it could be of age and ultimately consensual, or just straight up through a sex trafficker. The pattern is there, y'all. And it's just beyond me that these dudes, you got all the power and money in the world.
Yeah.
Pick on someone your own age who's actually there, not being paid to be there.
Yeah. This thing where age, the younger, the better, and the beauty and all that. If you really think about it, it's not true. I mean, look at 50-year-old women now. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know how old J-Lo is? Okay. Girl. The point is, when you constantly it's entirely possible that you could fall in love with someone much older, much younger. Do you? But when you have a pattern that it always involves someone with much less life experience, that's not about beauty. It's about domination. See, a woman my age maybe has a mouth that you're not going to like. Push back. I'll order my own food. Okay.
Your own opinions. Like it's not even a mouth. It's just like you are a person. You're a fully developed adult.
That's what I believe. This is what I believe it's about. But what about the brother? I just saw that as I want to be as relevant, even in a monster-like way, as my deceased, notorious sibling. Why are you even? Why? I just feel like the statement indicates that he seemed to enjoy, because that's what Jeffrey Epstein's play was too. Remember. He'd get you anything you want. People would say, well, why was he doing all this? To get, just banking favors, whatever, perhaps. But also he would keep things on these people, right? You're not really friends when someone keeps a file on you and you don't do what they say. And guess what, Fran? Don't forget, I got that paperwork. I got that paperwork. Okay. I'll give you the last word, but it just, I just can't escape him. There's so much more that we don't even know.
No, and I think what's wild is that the right is going to focus, of course, on Bill Clinton, as if they think that somehow we on the left or progressives idolize Bill Clinton. I think quite the opposite, but not focus on the man currently running for president. Currently, you think Joe Biden, there's no Hunter there. No Hunter Biden, even though he's supposedly the sex pest. Nope, he's not on the list. But Joe Biden, also not on the list. No Biden is on that list. Donald Trump, all over that list, right? And again, we don't know the specifics of whether he also went to the island or whatnot, but it's just like, we're supposed to forget that. I don't know, that they framed him or something. That's an AI image. I don't know, but it just, again, in the mind of the right, in the MAGA right, it all sort of squares. Yes, the hunter of pedophiles was actually hanging out with a pedophile.
Yeah. Well said. That was beautifully said. That's a perfect way to button it. Because, well, for today, Francesca, because I'm sure the next time we're together, there's a good chance that there'll be another development. Yeah. Because that's just the way it is when you live for so long in this fashion. And Ghislaine Maxwell, she doesn't want any part of this, does she? Believes she's still innocent, or at least that's what she's saying. Isn't she vegan? She's vegan and is mad about the food she's getting, right, in prison. Wasn't good enough. I believe we had the story on. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I hope she's eating well. You'll be in there a while. We just had the Jimmy Kimmel, Aaron Rodgers squabble where Kimmel said, no, you're not about to set me up with this nonsense. And now you have Katt Williams. He's an outrageous, no holds bar kind of comedian who is, it seems, blasting fellow comedians during an interview. We'll let you hear it for yourself.
1998, I'm doing this joke. It's on Comic View. Cedric comes to the Comedy Store. He watches me in the audience. He comes backstage. He tells me what a great job I did and how much he loves the joke. 2 years later, he's doing that as his last joke on the Kings of Comedy. And he's doing it verbatim. He's just changed my car into a spaceship. The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he wear a suit and then he gets this high top fade, making all black men think he got the best lineup in the business. And it's a man unit. For a 5-year period, every single movie that Kevin Hart did was a movie that had been on my desk. That all I had said was, just, can we take some of this step and fetch it out? And then I can do it. Like, it don't need to be overtly homosexual, because I'm not homosexual, right? It doesn't need that to be funny, right? And me saying that and them going, oh yeah, no problem. And then going to give it to this other guy and having him do it just like it was. Martin tried to put me in my first dress. The Chris Tucker that we got now is Epstein Island Chris Tucker, not Smokey. He was so egregious, I put in my contract that I won't work with Ricky Smiley again unless he's in a dress. Now, what was Ricky Smiley's next movie? Was it First Sunday? Did he wear a dress in it? You bet he did. It's in my contract. Most comedians don't get booed enough. I mean, this is how you end up with a Michael Blackson who's a real African doing a fake African accent. Okay, that would be like me being on Joe Rogan. Joe don't want me on there. I need to be on Shannon. Joe got 6 comedians that never been funny. He want to push out.
Okay, like I said, the most revealing interviews are the ones where I didn't hear a single question from Shannon Sharp. Did you? He didn't ask a thing. He didn't have to. Okay, here is your, what is that? Brandy? Probably fine with their whatever they're drinking.
It looks good. It looks really good. If you're listening as a podcast, looks like a I don't know, a very rare Cavassier. It looks good.
It does. And I think he was handed that. The interview went down for 2-hour interview. 2 hours and 45 minutes conducted by Shannon Sharp. On his Club Shay Shay show, went viral. Some of the people Katt named have started to respond. This ought to be good. Club Shay Shay on YouTube. Ricky Smiley responded on his morning radio show about the claims made about them working together on the movie next Friday. On the Ricky Smiley morning show on Thursday, Smiley told his radio audience he was originally meant to be Money Mike, but in hindsight, Mix Williams was the better choice. I had no reason to lie about that, Smiley said. They added the whole pimp twist to that character, which was actually a better decision and made it funnier, Smiley said of Williams's casting as Money Mike. There was no way in hell I could have executed that role like that, and I'm glad they made that decision. Personally, I liked the pimp role better, Smiley said, but the Santa Claus role was just perfect for me. AL.com. Williams also told Sharp he had a clause placed in his contract that he would only work with Smiley if he was wearing a dress in his roles. Smiley has frequently portrayed Bernice Jenkins, a comic bit where he plays a grandmother often while reading church announcements. The role originated with prank calls on 95.7 Jams, Smiley said. Smiley said his future performance as Bernice Jenkins had nothing to do with Katt Williams's contract. Listing other Black comics who performed dressed as women for the sake of funny, Smiley said, that has nothing to do with my manhood being lessened for trying to play a role and trying to put food on the table for my family. Smiley said he was disappointed. He had to offer the explanation. Makes me sad. The way that made my kids feel, he said of Williams's comments. Smiley went on to encourage his audience to buy tickets to Williams's upcoming shows in Birmingham and Huntsville. That's brilliant. We want to wish Katt Williams nothing but the best, Smiley said. You see, that's a tactic and maybe genuine. Ricky Smiley's a good guy. Michael Blackson would also respond via Twitter. Here it is. Katt Williams is a very smart mouth. It's like N-word. Took shots. Top 10 comedians alive today so we can all respond and make him relevant again. I believe that. I believe it. Right? Finally, Cedric, the entertainer. Oh, I can't wait, Fran, to hear what you have to say about this. It's a very tight community. Cedric would respond to the comments of a Shade Room post about the topic. revisionist history. Regardless of whatever Katt's opinion, my career can't be reduced to one joke Katt Williams claims is his. I've been in over 40 movies. My specials and brands speak volumes for who I am. The people I have put on, including Cat in the Hat at the Gibson Amphitheater, read Cedric's comment. He then went on to say, and all that tough talk is corny AF. I'm grown. Grown A man, and none of that S gonna go like you think. You do you, and I got this over here. Cedric commenting in the shade room. Cedric denied the accusation on Instagram back in 2021 and said the space joke was his. Look, I have no idea what this brother's talking about, he said. That joke is over 30 years old, close to 30-something years old. I did the Kings of Comedy in 1999. Probably I've been doing that joke 6-7 years before that. I don't even know if Katt was doing comedy then. Atlanta Black Star. It is a close-knit community. I want to know what you think is anything the death penalty that Katt Williams alleges? Because I heard that stealing jokes is like, you can't come back from that with you all.
Yeah, but people do it all the time, especially famous folks, right? Because they're the ones who can get away with it. So that to me seems like maybe one of the most believable accusations, but it's true that Cedric's been in the game longer than Katt, and Cedric also helped put Katt up. And so it is weird that Katt would be like maybe retroactively like saying that you stole my joke. But yes, that is probably one of the more serious things you could levy at people. But again, it happens a lot. There's also synchronistic thinking. People have similar bits. Look, everything under the sun has been written and done generally. But there also are people who like scoop. Look, if you're an unknown comic and some more famous person sees your joke, they could scoop your bit in 2 seconds and no one's gonna hold them accountable because they don't, you're a nobody. And so that happens a lot. But it does seem, look, I love Katt Williams. He is as entertaining there on that interview as he ever is. I love him so much. But it definitely is just a marketing ploy of him talking a lot of smack in order to get people to pay attention to him. I think Michael Blackson's read was very, very correct.
Yeah. And I think that Ricky perhaps suspected that too, which is why he went high, Michelle Obama.
Totally.
If people
he's like, buy tickets.
Right. If they keep engaging, this is good. We know the clapback, that is Katt, okay? Remember that radio interview? And I like her. I don't even want to go there. Okay. It was in Atlanta. Wanda.
Yes.
Yeah, I think she's a great lady. But it just was, I think if Katt Williams, and I'm a huge fan, if he was going to be on the radio with me that day, and I was, the sidekick type, she's supremely talented, but I might have called in sick because I just don't want to face it. Okay. He can do fire over there, fire there, fire there. It's so quick with it, the wit. But I'll give you the last word. Do you think these other comedians would be in on it? And what do you make of Katt? He drove it home a couple times with being in a dress, the Kevin Hart.
The Kevin Hart thing, we didn't see that response, But I do think it's a way to kind of like, talk yourself up. I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened that like, if you want to make notes, they'll go to someone else who will do exactly what the script says. And I'm sure Katt Williams has been given some trash scripts to, to be in and trash movies. And I could say I have not seen a lot of Kevin Hart's movies, but like we know the dude will not turn down a paycheck. Like he is a money-making machine. He sells out massive audiences. He's also incredibly funny. But none of the films are like, oh, that's a discerning comic. Like it's just. But everyone has their different styles. I'm curious. I'm waiting to see what Kevin Hart says. But again, it's just talking smack, and that plays. Look at us talking about him. Now people might go see him live.
I feel like the comics who. You guys have to not just have thick skin. I really don't think Katt Williams is bothered by anyone.
No.
He does what he wants. He says what he wants. And for you to be that kind of comedian, Chappelle either, perhaps. I think that's just it just is what it is.
I just think it's funny. I mean, with Chappelle, like at least Katt is getting some heat on him and some like headlines because he's calling out other comics and he's like just kind of being messy, and he's not like punching down at the trans community, who's already the most, victimized community in this country in terms of hate crimes and suicide rates and whatnot. It's like, hand it to Katt that at least he's sticking among his own, which yes is the cardinal sin in comedy, but maybe he's earned it at this point.
Yeah, I probably would have gone the Ricky route. I'm not going to clap back because I just don't want the smoke, unless you got to be committed to it.
Totally.
Because if you're going to go there, you got to be A game, the whole thing. But I love it. Very close-knit community. And you're saying that joke stealing goes on all the time.
All the time.
I thought it was like, you're out of here. You're out of the club. We'll never forgive you.
I wish.
Wow, good to know, man. Then anybody could do it. Okay. You're not
In
endorsing
effect.
it, but anybody could. Then I'll just, yeah.
I didn't touch him. Stop him. Stop her. Stop her. Somebody, she tried to grab my bag, you guys. Look at this, is insane. Look at this. He is insane. Look at this. Yeah. Good.
No, it's okay. We're gonna call law enforcement. They'll take care of it.
Wow, you guys. Look at that.
Where do you begin? Where do you begin? Well, we're going to begin with a male Karen trying to steal a box of Starbucks Stanley cups. That's where we're going to begin. A chaotic scene. Chaos broke out at a Target Starbucks location January 3rd when a male Karen jumped the counter in an attempt to steal limited edition winter pink Stanley cups. They're all the rage, apparently. Now, this was on my daughter's list. I didn't even know what a Stanley was until a short time ago. And now, I mean, listen, don't you think we're doing too much with the Stanleys, including now creating chaos, violence? Get him. Don't let him take the Stanleys. The TikTok viral tumblers and the Starbucks collaboration led to Target limiting the number of cups a customer could buy. Now, this is where it really gets annoying. Their popularity is causing long lines. But the male Karen lost any semblance of patience after some buyers had cut the line. He said, you know what? I'm going to jump over the counter. And that's when he attempted to steal a Stanley cup. After struggling with security, other customers in a physical scuffle, the man walked out of the store with a cup alongside a young person who was seemingly with him. Target staff said they would call law enforcement to deal with the issue, which left some customers in the store so shaken, they were crying.
Oh, come on.
They were crying. Dexerto with the details. In an unexpected turn of events, the man returned to the store to apparently return his stolen cup. He returned to the scene of the crime before walking out again, leaving commenters confused. It's what you call unbothered. He caused all of that, wanted all those Stanleys, fought with several people. I don't know why they even went after him, but I'll get your take on it, Fran. But then he came right back as if that wasn't him. It was him, okay? Unpack it for us, and I need you to unpack the Stanley. Because when I first learned about the story, I'm gonna be honest with you, I almost was going to side with him, and I hadn't seen everything. Oh, you're one of those. Okay. They're big, they're bulky, and they hold too much beverage.
This is not a Stanley Cup. This is an Elo, people. There are other brands of massively comically large.
I thought we lost her to the Stanleys.
Yeah, no, it's, look, they're all the rage. I'm supportive of the rage because it is like you're not using bottled water, you're putting water in there, most likely. It's fine. But I love the way that they went after him, and it's because, Sharon, they wanted the Stanleys themselves. Like if they were just in line for like, a venti, whatever, coffee, they were like, no, who cares? But it was like, no, that's our pink Stanley. Get him. And granted, all he was doing was being impatient because dude can't wait. It's like, calm down, you're in a Target. And I love the way he doesn't even go through the back. He just jumps over the counter right through. And the craze is such that they will defend their Stanley Cups and their pink limited edition Stanley Cups. Okay, I guess I get it. The whole thing's ridiculous. My favorite part is how he comes back, as you mentioned, and just returns the cup, one cup that he stole. Like, George Costanza the next day saying, I didn't quit my job. And he's like, doopy-doo, this is fine, right? We'll see. With all of these things, I'm just glad there wasn't actual law enforcement. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that there would be an interaction. I don't know if Target's as much as the other big box store with the smiley face, they check the receipts, but I did find it fascinating that all of these bystanders, Samaritans, whatever you want to call them, get him. They turned into a mass mob that you used to only see at midnight on Thanksgiving, okay, trying to get into the stores, get the sales. And I did find that an interesting case study, if you will. Target seems to be blowing it off, though they did limit. I don't know how you feel about that. They said, there's such a craze here, we've got to limit the amount of Stanley. Can't they just make more pink ones? And this is a ploy like the Cabbage Patch Kids years ago. And they're highly coveted. You can't find them. Every kid must have this one. McDonald's had little games that they were playing to give some away. And now they're doing it with these pink Stanleys. And I know kids who, if you're a hardworking single mom and you go to buy these expensive, they're so expensive.
How much are they? Are they like $30, $40? I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot.
And you
that's
can look around and you hand it to a small child with no job who eats for free, lives for free, and they give it back to you and say it's my fault.
Spoken like the mom of a preteen.
Okay. So I think it's like when the Jordans, people were robbing people for the Jordans and the whole thing. I think we've got to really look at this issue because it may not be healthy. I like the environment. I like
support
what it's doing.
I support.
Right.
I say less plastic water bottles, more Stanleys.
I'll leave it alone. Okay. But I do think we need to at least monitor this thing. It's phenomenal. Okay, we got to monitor it. If this person were not such a criminal, the scouts would have found him a long time ago. Would have found him a long time ago. Never seen hops like this in my life. Not even 23. Number 23, the greatest basketball player of all time. I don't know if he had hops like that. What was that? A defendant. A man dives at the judge after a sentencing hearing. He was not in the mood. Watch it again.
Trust that he is going to perform well on probation. I think he's worth this risk. The court wants to be 1948 as suggested by the DA. I would have no issue with that, but to suspend it rather than just send him to prison for any length of time. I think it makes more sense given the circumstances and his ability to do probation successfully that he would give this opportunity.
I appreciate that, but I think it's time that he gets a taste of something else because I just can't with that history. In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court.
Now, did you see that? It's no laughing matter, but it's extraordinary what we've just witnessed. And he had a running start. He was way back there. The judge is sitting on the bench. The lawyer,
that's fast.
He's lightning fast. But again, the hops, he jumped so high. And I don't know how he did that. We'll give you some background. Incident happened in Las Vegas. They've got to change protocols there, folks. Deobra Reedon, 30, three-time felon, inside Clark County District Court. Judge Mary K. Holthus courtroom for sentencing on a charge of attempted battery with substantial bodily harm, record said. 8 News Now with the details now right there. Three-time felon, battery, okay. You would think that the bailiffs would be posted up better. And I'm not blaming them. because who knew he was like kangaroo. He jumped so high. And again, so quick. There it is again. Incredible. It's incredible. Let's give you the other details on this one. In the video of the hearing, Reardon explained to the judge that he'd already been to prison and pleaded to be given another chance because he was, quote, in a better place. Now, this is proof positive. People lie to the judge. They'll say anything to get out of something. Because a split second later, he was in another place, not a better place. In response, Judge Mary Kay Holthus reminded him of his extensive criminal record, citing 3 felonies, 9 misdemeanors, and multiple DVs, as in domestic violence offenses. I appreciate that, but I think it's time that you get a taste of something else, she responded to him. Before she could even read him his prison sentence, though, all hell broke loose. Stunning. 62-year-old judge sustained unspecified injuries. Her condition is being monitored. The Times reported a courtroom marshal was also injured, sustaining a bleeding gash on his forehead and a dislocated shoulder. As for Mr. Reardon, he's inside Clark County Detention Center, where he faces additional charges, battery of a protected person. This is a mess. We thank the Root for filling in other details for us. The judge could have been a lot worse. You know, I read other reporting. She did not have to go to the hospital, but she was injured, but it could have been, Fran, so much worse. And I just look at the protocols here. Now I'm gonna give you the floor, but I gotta say this. Byrd would have never let anyone get that close to Judge Judy. Look where Byrd was posted at all times on the show. He was posted in the same place on the show. Now, she only has Byrd. That's all she had was Byrd, okay? There were several people there, and I'm not blaming them. And when it goes on, you see the defense attorney who's just kind of peeking over, he's taking in all that, and saying, come on, man, don't do this. You're good. He's not good. He's not good, okay? The assistant, the clerk even got into some, they were tired. This guy is an incredible, apparently criminal, but also an athlete. And I don't know what you do about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is incredibly scary what happened to that judge. And it's just a terrifying incident. I do want to say, though, I don't have a lot of love for our justice system. And I do think that far too many people who maybe don't have the kinds of charges that Reardon has, but who don't have like the most severe charges, maybe it's drug charges, or theft or whatnot, often get held without bail, often don't get their probation by judges, every single day. So again, our justice system is very skewed against specifically Black Americans who are disproportionately the ones in prison and obviously disproportionately facing the kinds of, economic hardship that often comes with a white supremacist country that we have. So all of that aside, I want to say I have no love for our justice system, but nobody deserves to be tackled in that manner. But I can, look, I don't know. I don't know what exactly these charges were. I don't know how long ago they were. I don't know, how much he has changed or hasn't changed. I do know, however, that there is someone who has 91 charges hanging over him, and he's allowed to walk free and he's allowed to hold rallies wherever he wants. And that's Donald Trump, a former president. Is he a danger to society? You're damn right he's a danger. He's a danger to everybody. He incited an insurrection against this country, and he's out there saying we have to get rid of the vermin once I'm back in power. So take that for what you will.
Yeah. I think you make some strong points. Reardon is very dangerous. We're not using him as the case study. We are just gobsmacked by his, again, did you see? Remember in school where we'd have to do you're maybe younger than me. I was gonna say the standing broad jump.
The distance jump, hardest one.
And you had to, you know what I mean? And that really showed your strength. And this guy, how did he get over there?
Yeah, that's a long jump.
And I'm glad she wasn't hurt. But I do think you make a strong point about the broken justice system, who's heard, perhaps who's not. He'd been in front of this judge before. I'm not blaming the judge, but she had clearly made up her mind, right? He's trying to plead his case. And I think you are correct. The affluenza teen, remember the affluenza teen? I'm so privileged, I don't follow the rules. Somebody listened to him. I think he got off after doing damage, carnage, bloodshed.
Yeah.
again and again, then like ran away or something.
Yeah.
Somebody actually listened. Some judge bought the affluenza defense. I'm not saying it was this one, but somebody bought it. Somebody listened to that privileged kid who actually caused great bodily harm. I got to get the details straight in my head, but this is what he did. So frustration should never get like that. I will say it again, though. Be careful who you believe. Be careful who you listen to, because he said right before he did that, look, I'm in a better place now, Judge.
Right.
No, sir, Mr. Redden, you're not in a better place. We know where you are today, and I don't know when you'll be getting out. But that was extraordinary, and people have been reacting to it ever since the news broke and the video began. I love him. Never met him, and I love him. I can tell what a sweet kid, 3-year-old. Just being three. I wish I could squeeze him. And so does his family. A 3-year-old little boy, just being 3, inside his family's apartment, New Year's Eve, and a bullet, one of those celebration shots in the air for New Year's, hits him in the head, and he's gone. Senseless, disgusting, stupid. 3-year-old, Braden Smith, dead after lingering on life support for days. Police confirmed on Wednesday afternoon 3-year-old Braden Smith died after he had been on life support since being struck in the head by a stray bullet New Year's Eve. Just the sweetest kid. It's hard. These aren't just cases and victims and they're actual people. People who are loved, children. The details from Memphis's KKTV Channel 11. Police say Braden was hit with what's called celebratory gunfire. You perhaps have been unfortunate enough to hear it on New Year's Eve, maybe the 4th of July. First you think it's fireworks, and then maybe someone like a little boy falls to the ground. Memphis Police Department says 3-year-old Braden Smith was shot by a stray bullet while inside his family's apartment on New Year's Eve. WMC reporting. Officers responded to the scene just before 6 p.m. Sunday. The toddler was rushed to the hospital in critical condition after he was hit by the bullet, which came through the window of the apartment. All the Memphis stations covering this, Channel 11 also filling in. When Braden was on life support, his grandmother, Tasha Davis, asked for the perpetrator to surrender to authorities. In an interview with WREG, she warned at the time, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for the toddler.
Awful.
We thought it was fireworks. It's just, I keep it up. Keep it up.
Look at what a sweet boy.
A sweet boy.
Cutie.
It shouldn't matter what he looked like, but I love him. I feel him. Why? It's so senseless. I'll give you the quote from Grandma Davis. We thought it was fireworks. We realized it was gunfire. We turned around and looked back, and Braden was on the floor. Braden was 3. He's a baby. I don't have my grandson. My daughter doesn't have her son. He's on life support. This is closer to the incident, New Year's Eve. At the time he was. She ended by saying, turn yourself in. So whichever coward did this knows they did it. Not in custody. Police may not know. Hope they have some leads. But you're out there, and apparently you're able to live with yourself, sustain yourself, and you're just fine as life goes on for you. Lena Black Star, giving us more. The toddler was not the only child in the apartment when the shooting started. He was accompanied by his 6-year-old brother when a bullet penetrated the front window, according to the grandmother. Le Bonheur Children's Hospital in Memphis, the hospital that treated Braden, treated more than 170 children, 170, for gunshot wounds in 2023. 2 weeks before Braden's shooting, a 15-year-old was shot in the apartment complex near the corner of Danny Thomas Boulevard and Georgia Avenue in the New Pathways neighborhood. Fox 13 Memphis reporting that, like in Braden's case, the police said the shooter was nowhere to be found at the scene. Stranger. Teenage victim survived his wounds. Well, that time. Atlanta Black Star notes that while Tennessee has very relaxed gun laws allowing most citizens to carry openly without a permit, Assistant Police Chief Don Crow says celebratory gunfire is illegal. Quote, "Do not shoot guns for celebration," said Crow, who came to the apartment after Braden was shot. Seen firsthand the devastation caused by the shooter. He added, "The bullets will come down somewhere. If those bullets come down and hit a person, it will injure a person. It is a crime to shoot a gun in celebratory gunfire." I mean, no disrespect to Police Chief Don Crow. It's one of the dumbest statements ever uttered. And not because it's not true. It's nothing to do with the chief. The fact that he even has to say that is the dumb part. Ignorant. You don't care about anybody but you. I never had the training, but I also know you're a narcissist. Okay. We already know it's dangerous. Why are you doing this? I think it's intentional. I do. And I'm not saying they meant to shoot Braden, 3-year-old who had his whole life ahead of him, Fran, but it's intentional because if you go out and do something that reckless, I can't give you the grace of you didn't mean it.
Exactly. But they didn't care. And only in America. I mean, if you needed another piece of evidence that we have a gun problem, it's that when we're excited and happy, we also shoot guns that kill people. When we're sad and angry, we shoot guns that kill people. When we're just, in a traffic jam or we get into a fight, we shoot guns and we kill people. Tale as old as time in this country. And it is so sad. We need gun buyback programs. We need gun control. We need to save the lives of children who, yes, the leading cause of their death in this country is gun violence, right? And everyone wants to politicize it, especially the right. They don't care about this story. Why? Well, because it was probably in a black neighborhood and Braden's black. And it's like, no, okay, black on black crime. That's what we have to talk about. Stop talking about police, blah, blah, blah. No, man, it's everything. It is mass shootings. It is every community has gun violence. Every single one of them. It is the police. If you actually care about protecting police, you should rein in the amount of guns that are in our streets and in our homes. So, yeah, it is so devastating. I can't imagine what the family's going through, but my God, we are so stupid. We are just Yosemite. We're a country of Yosemite Sams.
That's exactly what it is. If you have so many guns that you can afford to just kind of like go out and just pop them off in the air, and is there not one decent person in a field of idiots who would say, "Hey man, don't do that"?
Yeah.
It's just because everybody's doing it, you do it. I'm just so disgusted, and there's just no solution because they don't want there to be a solution. But the gun companies are proud. I'm sure they're very proud and wealthy, and they probably have a lobbyist. Well, I don't want to get sued. But I'll just put it this way, some people would like this celebratory gunfire to continue. I think it should end yesterday. And so does Tasha Davis, because her 3-year-old grandson is not with her anymore. Outrageous. Lululemon, the founder, is admitting don't want certain customers. That's what the founder said. Okay. So if you want to keep purchasing, it's not a day-to-day operation for him, but I'm just telling you what the founder of Lululemon uttered. Per Newsweek, Lululemon founder Chip Wilson has criticized the company for its continued push towards inclusivity because that is dangerous. I added that. In 2023, numerous companies were targeted for consumer boycotts, notably Anheuser-Busch for advertising with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney, Target for its LGBTQ plus pride products. Company drew months of attention and calls for boycotts that hurt its financial bottom line. This is what you're worried about. This is so dangerous. Lululemon made headlines last year for a different reason. 2 female employees at a Peachtree Corners, Georgia store were terminated. What the company described as breaching company policy after they confronted masked shoplifters. The company was deemed woke in the same vein as the aforementioned companies. Wilson, who left the company in 2015, okay, so he's no longer there, told Forbes in a new interview that he has a distaste for Lululemon's whole diversity and inclusion thing. That's what he said. That's a quote. And the appearance of the people in its ads who he claims look unhealthy, sickly, and not inspirational. They're trying to be like the Gap, everything to everybody, Wilson said. And I think the definition of a brand is that you're not everywhere or not everything to everybody. You got to be clear that you don't want certain customers coming in. I thought you were trying to make money. If more customers came in, could the prices go down? Asking for a friend, okay? Chip Wilson does not speak for Lululemon. His comments do not reflect our company views or beliefs. The Lululemon company spokesperson told Newsweek via email. Chip has not been involved with the company since his resignation from the board in 2015, and we are a very different company today. Right? They didn't mince words there. Distance, so they blocked, okay, like part of the O-line, and then they dissed him. Said, he's out of here. He's been gone for years, and we don't want any part of him. We're different now. Wilson has a $6.9 billion net worth, largely attributed to the formation of Lululemon in 2000, taking the company public in 2007. However, in 2013, he later resigned as chairman and then removed himself completely in 2015, following similar weight-related comments that offended enough of the brand's consumer base to stir change. So that explains it. Because billionaires always think they're so clever. We just must hear what you're thinking. Don't edit your thoughts. Wilson told Bloomberg in a 2013 interview, frankly, some women's bodies just don't actually work for the pants. I'm personally offended by that. Okay. It's really about the rubbing through the thighs. How much pressure is there over a period of time? How much they use it. Has you ever heard anybody scrutinize a man's body like this? He later issued an apology that was posted online through a petition, though a petition went viral requesting more sincerity in addition to change in Lululemon's clothing styles to cater to those with larger sizes. So posted statement tells me somebody posted it. I don't know if it was him. Newsweek notes Lululemon and its CEO, Calvin McDonald. Okay. Subscribe to a variation of the typical diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, that is supported or admonished by consumers. Company encourages inclusion, diversity, equity, and action idea, it's called, that focuses on systemic changes following conversations with underrepresented employees. I don't mind that statement there. I don't know why you even have to have conversations with underrepresented employees. I mean, you see what you're doing, you know who the former CEO is, but otherwise, they say they're committed to it. We'll see. The initiative includes more funding for DEI-related objectives and an expansion of training, learning, development. IDEA has been allocated $5 million in its annual budget with an additional $3 million towards the company's social impact program. Here to be. 2020, Lululemon hired a global head of IDEA, whose team includes more than 20 members. That team grew to include 4 advisory committees, an executive steering committee, multiple task force, and more than 11 work streams dedicated to inclusion. However, the 3-plus-year-old initiative has had some negative ramifications, according to a story published by Business of Fashion in November. Publication interviewed 14 current and former Lululemon employees, including sales associates, global ambassadors, corporate managers in the US and Canada, who collectively described a corporate culture that is unwelcoming of Black people. After the closing of Lululemon's Hyde Park location in Chicago, 6 of the store's 16 former employees reportedly filed complaints alleging racial discrimination with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
Yeah.
So maybe they do need more conversations. Maybe I should take that back. Here's the thing about DEI. It's so cool and clever, Fran, for everyone to say it. Okay, this is who we are, la, la, la. But if you're not authentic, if it's not really what you're doing and it's just what you're saying, or you're pretending to go through the motions, it becomes really clear quickly. And they say, the new CEO, the spokesperson now says, we're much different than we were in 2015 when the other guy left, the founder. He said stuff like that. That's not who we are anymore. Well, that's up for debate.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is actually kind of a deep story, but I just briefly want to agree with you that the whole uproar from the right about diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, including in brands like Lululemon. Remember that they're just doing that to cover their butts, right? What happened in 2020 was that we had a massive racial awakening. We understood for the however manyth time that Black Americans are discriminated against routinely, and especially by the cops, and can lose their lives. Hello, George Floyd. It mobilized everyone, and even corporate communities and corporate culture were like, hey, maybe Lululemon is really about white chicks, and we just celebrate white chicks, and this is for white chicks, and this is for white chicks with a lot of money too, right? And so maybe we need to change our ways, and that's what they did. And on top of that, they had this dude's legacy, which of course Lululemon was created by a man. It's one thing if it was like for white chicks by white chicks, but no, it's by an old boomer dude who spends his time judging women's butts and like what they look like and their body types and the chafing of thighs. Like, homie, come on. Let's everyone see you in a Speedo and see how that works out. Like, so it's just so gross to me that this guy is behind it. I've never been able to afford Lululemon. I've never bought Lululemon. And now I'm sort of happy that I haven't, but just remember that people do, like, even when they have these programs, it doesn't mean they're making good on them. And of course, Lululemon should actually treat its workers, its employees, with that sort of, aspirational dignity that they say when they hire a consultant firm that basically tells them, hey, don't be racist and have models of color in your advertisements and in your stores. That's all they do. And they're like, oh, I never thought about it. Okay. And they still can't get it right.
No, they can't. And thank you for saying that. And I agree with you, homie. Okay. It's just like, just stop it. You know what I mean? And you're exactly right. We know the bodies for years. I'm probably on the curvier side and certain things aren't going to fit me well. But it also pains me for this reason. We're adults. Okay. You're a mom. I'm a mom. There are little girls, little brown girls who are they just want to be included. And they're running around and they want to be part of this Lululemon craze much. Our pocketbooks can't take it anymore. Please stop. And I just don't want them to know that they may not be wanted, even though that could be the reality here. It seems it certainly has been at some point. And there are many challenges that remain. It just hurts me because at a certain point, they're just a kid and you just want to be part of this thing, even though I don't go along with the group kids. Be your own thing. Do your own thing. Your body's beautiful. You're going to be great.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not the best motivational speaker, but you get the drift. But here you have these internal workings and people sitting around and doing this marketing, Fran. And I think there are so many who are saying, well, this isn't for her. It's only for her, Miss Yoga or something.
To say that we don't want a certain type of customer is just like, it's so racist. Just say what you mean. We know what you mean. And it's like, it reminds me, remember when Tommy Hilfiger found out that like black kids were wearing his outfits and he was like, I don't want that. And he was like, oops.
I forgot about that.
Like but all the time, right? This happens all the time. Luxury brands, unless you're a famous rapper in which they're like, oh, okay, money. Then it's all good. But like, again, they just they want everyone to wear it except for certain people. And you're like, no, that's not how brands are built. Actually, you don't have to do that. You can be for certain people. REI feels like for outdoorsy people. Lululemon for active people. But like beyond that, what are we doing?
Yeah. And they're cutting the clothes for certain bodies, I'm telling you.
100%, of course.
And suddenly, now that the Kardashians are out there for everyone to take in, there's more room in certain areas of certain items. But before that, it was like, oh, well. But you said it so well, and I appreciate you. It's just enough is enough.
Yeah.
SpaceX, founded by you-know-who, accused of firing workers critical of him. Elon Musk. If you had that much money, would you be that thin-skinned? You don't need to. According to Bloomberg, SpaceX has been accused by the U.S. Labor Board of illegally firing 8 employees over an internal letter sharply critical of CEO Elon Musk, who apparently is perfect and you're not allowed to criticize him. Regional director of the National Labor Relations Board issued a complaint against SpaceX Wednesday, alleging the company illegally interrogated, surveilled, retaliated against workers. Agency spokesperson Kayla Blado said in an email, fired workers include authors of a 2022 open letter protesting, quote, inappropriate, disparaging, sexually charged comments on Twitter by Musk. Their attorneys wrote when they brought the case in 2022. I mean, just look at the words being used here: interrogated, surveilled, retaliated. It's like I'm thinking of a dictator or something. That's how dictators roll. Bloomberg with the details. The NLRB's complaint alleges that SpaceX management told workers it had terminated the employees because of their open letter, restricted others from distributing it, and threatened terminations if they engaged in collective action. Okay. At SpaceX, the rockets may be reusable, but the people who build them are treated as expendable. One of the workers, Paige Holland Thielen, said in an emailed statement, I'm hopeful these charges will hold SpaceX and its leadership accountable for their long history of mistreating workers and stifling discourse. Company formerly known as Space Exploration Technologies Corp didn't immediately respond to requests for comment. The trial is set to begin March 5th. NLRB said. Again, Bloomberg giving us the details. In June 2022, a group of employees circulated an open letter through internal SpaceX communication channels criticizing Musk's online behavior and calling on the company to denounce and distance itself from his public comments. Elon's behavior in the public sphere is a frequent source of distraction and embarrassment for us, particularly in recent weeks, the letter stated. Shortly after the letter circulated within SpaceX, multiple employees associated with drafting the letter, they were fired, ushered out. Complaints issued by NLRB prosecutors are considered by agency judges whose rulings can be appealed to the NLRB members in Washington and then federal court. The agency has the authority to order companies to reinstate fired workers and provide back pay, but generally can't hold executives personally liable for alleged wrongdoing or issue any punitive damages. Federal law protects employees' right to communicate and protest collectively about their working conditions with or without a union. While Musk has declared himself a free speech absolutist, his companies have repeatedly been accused by the US government of trying to silence workers. Last year, SpaceX settled a claim that it illegally tried to stifle an employee's speech. Now, Bloomberg also notes that separately, Musk's social media company, X, settled with a former employee who an NLRB regional director had concluded was illegally fired for protesting a return to office mandate. NLRB also ruled Musk's electric car maker Tesla Inc., illegally fired an activist and that Musk threatened workers on social media. Tesla's appealing in federal court. You know, there's a thing about discourse, Francesca. I tend to think it may not always be fun. There's a way you could do it. But we seem to live in a world where there's just these thin-skinned leaders. And anyone who, you have a post, a meeting after a big project drops, or maybe you do it after your comedy set. Maybe with your husband, I don't know, who says, you want to know that the energy you got from the crowd was, what could I have done better? I was thinking about this, whatever. I don't know what you do, but I would assume that you maybe watch footage or get feedback.
Sure.
And I don't know that I would think it's always positive. You're adored. But I learned a lot from viewers who would write and say certain things. And as long as they didn't go too far and attack me personally, sometimes hey, this eyebrow is too high. I don't know. Okay. You mispronounced that. If I did, I did.
This eyebrow is too high. No. First of all,
it's good to get some kind of feedback instead of just being in your own head, your own opinion.
Absolutely. Well, Elon Musk is in his own head, in his own opinion, and we are all stuck in his midlife crisis, which is known as X. Also, just all the other companies that he owns. And let's remember, we associate SpaceX and Tesla with Elon Musk. However, there are hundreds of thousands of workers who work at these companies who are excel in their fields, who want to do good, who even believe in the company, right? They like what SpaceX does. They like what Tesla does, what it could be, as stupid as I think the Cybertruck is, and they want it to be better. And at the helm is this 13-year-old man baby who consistently tweets, not just misogynistic, but also transphobic and anti-Semitic things constantly, and it makes them look bad. And so that's what they're saying is, hey, can we do something about this complete wild card that is supposedly leading us? Because we're all here to work and do serious stuff, and we are being bogged down by the CEO. And can we get something going? And when you do an open letter, when you write an open letter, it's because that's your last recourse. That is, you've run things up internally up the chain. It's fallen on deaf ears. So hats off to these workers. They lost their jobs, some of them, but they will not lose the battle, right? Or the war, excuse me. The war is ongoing, and it is to hold CEOs like Elon Musk accountable for their actions. We saw Lululemon, again, a guy who was thankfully let go by the board after however many racist and bigoted comments. So again, this is starting the ball rolling. And finally, final thought, the NLRB under Biden, as much as I criticize Biden for what he's doing now in the Middle East, the NLRB is actually doing some good things and bringing a case against SpaceX for their retaliatory actions on these workers is huge and would not happen under a Republican president. Remember that.
What's more to say? Well, there's this one. Okay, I think what you said is spot on. Okay. And yes, a case needs to be made here. But I do think, as one of the commenters said after the Karen segment, these people should be studied. What is it about these billionaires? Okay? They can say whatever. Look at the comments. You just outlined the things that Elon Musk says. And I know other guys, well, he's not a billionaire. He just claimed to be for years. But say whatever you want about everybody else. The minute somebody criticizes you, I didn't even read anything that was that bad in their little statement they circulated. You're out of here. I'm going to ruin your life. That's what it means sometimes when people don't have their jobs anymore. You're ruined. What is it about people who have everything at their disposal? Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. I always wanted people to tell me the truth. Please tell me the truth. And maybe I was self-critical, which can be a blessing and a curse, but are they not? They don't possess any of that, huh?
No, it's again, with great power, I guess, comes great fragility. I don't know why. Sharon, I keep on saying this. If I had that much money, you'll never hear from me again. No. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you'd see a bot. You wouldn't know what I look like. There'd be a bot. There would just be a bot. But, give people their jobs back and knock it off. He's clapping back at who? Dave Chappelle over Dave's latest special. Here we go. Little Nas says, hold up now. Per the root, Dave Chappelle's latest Netflix comedy special, The Dreamer, aired Sunday, was controversial for several reasons. The comedian made jokes about the trans and disabled community, for one. Additionally, Chappelle, targeted Little Nas X. And he heard you. Chappelle's Netflix special, he explains how he met Little Nas X for the first time. I met this N at a party. Had no idea who he was. But the minute he walked in that party, I knew I was in his dream. Everybody in the party was another dreamer. Everyone was famous, but when that N walked in, he was dressed like C-3PO. He was shining. Everyone was like, oh my God, there he is. That's Little Nas X. I didn't know who he was. Dave Chappelle, the dreamer. He continued to say that Nas X wanted him to be in one of his videos, which left Chappelle confused. He then made quips about interactions he imagined the artist would have had with one of his teachers about his intended video, Montero, Call Me By Your Name. Candace McDuffie with The Root has the reporting. What do you want to be when you grow up, Little Nas X? That and stood up in front of the whole class. I want to be the gayest N that ever lived. I want to do a music video, slide down a stripper pole all the way to the depths of hell. Well, I'll read the rest. And suck the devil's, at 10 o'clock on BET. While all the kids are awake and can see me. Shockingly, that was the only dream that worked out. Dave Chappelle, the dreamer. But of course, Nas X was not going to let that happen without responding on X, formerly Twitter. He replied, y'all gotta let Call Me By Your Name go. Me and the devil broke up 3 years ago. Y'all acting like children of divorce. Whoa. Hey. Okay, there you see it. And he's got Dave, the clip. Nas X also announced his new single and video. Why not? Getting the attention, perfect time to announce it. It's coming next week, the promo of which featured an illustration of him dressed as a priest with the caption, in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. I need you to unpack this because, and I hate to keep going, but this is what you do. It's comedians, should they be judged? Is the content, there's nothing off limits? Is he punching, is it creative anymore? Does he need to move on? Talking about Chappelle, and what do you make of Little Nas X clapping back in his way?
Yeah, I think Lil Nas X's response was perfect. I mean, he wasn't that incensed. He was just making a joke of it. We broke up 3 years ago. Get over it. And the reality is that that's probably one of the least offensive jokes in Chappelle's new special. I have not watched it. I saw the last one. I'm good. I'm cool on the amount of transphobic hatred that he spews. The Lil Nas X joke, it might be a little funny, but it truly is a right-wing take about what everyone was freaking out about at the time, which was a very talented musician, Lil Nas X, who has some of the most creative songs, who, is an openly gay black man who flaunts himself. And it's like, how many can you name? Very few. I mean, he is doing like Madonna did at the time, except he's black and gay. Like it's actually pretty groundbreaking. And it's actually, I mean, the rise it got out of Chappelle is exactly the rise that he wanted it to get. But again, Chappelle is just using it as ultimately like making fun of him for being gay and for like, the stuff with the devil. And it's like, yeah, but he's super talented and he actually like does new stuff, unlike yourself, my dude. Cause like, I used to like your comedy and now, I don't know. I feel like you just need therapy.
For you.
It's
getting
the
stale?
hatred's getting stale.
But
yeah, I mean, nothing's off limits as long as it gets a laugh. The problem is once you reach a level of fame, anyone in your audience will immediately laugh at whatever you say. I mean, he could literally slip on a banana peel and people would act like they never saw that before. So at what point is all of that laughter? Is it genuine? Or if I got up on stage and said that, would anyone laugh at that? Probably not.
Yeah, I think you said some very eye-opening things, at least to me. I hadn't thought of that. If you think of it that way, followers, I don't want to call people groupies, but like, you're going to get the courtesy laugh anyway. I hadn't thought of that. And the Madonna reference, I think, is brilliant too, and explains it, just perfectly, because that's what's going on here.
Right.
That's what's going on. Little Nas X, absolutely.
Remember the panic then? Satanic panic. Oh, how could she do that with a priest? Like a prayer. Oh my God.
And that was a groundbreaking video. I once sat with the actor and a serious actor, Leon. Remember he was in that? And he talked to me about it. And it was very extraordinary how she had to get him to do it. But anyway, in the same vein, Little Nas X. I want you to tell us again about where people can find you. And enjoy your commentary, your take on things.
Yes, at Franny Fio on all the things. YouTube.com/Franny Fio is where you can find the live Bitchuation Room podcast. Tuesdays, Fridays, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, I'll be listening. I do intend at some point to get to your show. I don't
Hell
want.
yeah.
Sometimes a mom just wants to go solo. It doesn't mean we don't love her.
Go solo.
I love her.
Agreed.
But I want to
Agreed.
enjoy myself without someone saying, "No, we're going to the bathroom together. We're doing everything together." I don't want to go to that restaurant. Sushi again. But we love you, Fran, and thank you so much for putting up with me. Dr. Richie will be back soon, and I hope to be with you again because I think you're just the greatest. This is Indisputable. I'm Sharon Reed in for Dr. Rashad Richie. I hope you'll be back.